As the curtains close and they lower the coffin into the hole in the ground, we exit Mozart's Requiem. I thought that was Ave Verum Corpus, which is a lovely piece of music. Too slow, but Andrew managed to get me the Requiem. So I hope we didn't depress you too much with Mozart's Requiem. But our intentions were good, as were Andrew's. And it's a Peter Conway, Warren Point Port, you're with me. You've been away, weren't you? You were skiing.
Well, yes, I was away last week with my youngest, Timothy. We went for a week to St. Anton in Austria.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah. What was the snow like?
We had good snow. There was a bit of a whiteout the first day because the snow was falling.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing because you can get your ski legs in more difficult conditions. And then, of course, we had 3 days of sunshine. It was lovely.
Oh, for goodness sake. How, getting your ski legs, what was the rest period from skiing? How long was it since you'd skied before that?
Well, I was away last year, so it's not that long ago. But a few years ago, I when the children were small, indeed, it's not a cheap pastime, so couldn't afford to go.
Yeah,
but I had a break of 4 or 5, maybe even 7 years from it, and but it's like riding a bike. Once you've learned it, it stays with you. You're a little bit ginger at the beginning, but then once you start a few turns and maybe a tumble or two.
Talking of such things, did you wear your helmets?
I did, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't that the most extraordinary circumstance for Michael Schumacher?
Yes. And indeed, it was the first day when we were away that we heard about this, because it was actually on that same day that we were skiing. In a different resort, of course, but everyone was talking about it. I think had he not been wearing his helmet, he was a goner.
He was gone.
But I suppose it must have been about 10 years ago, with my own children, we insisted they wear helmets, and then it seemed very hypocritical not to wear one ourselves. So we all got them then, and you hardly see anyone now without one.
Yeah,
it has changed,
and that will even change further as a consequence of Michael's awfulness. He's in this induced coma. He seems to have stabilised.
It's very hard to know. I'm not a medical person, but
it doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. No. And then, of course, Angela Merkel also suffered a skiing accident last week.
Really?
We were in good company.
I missed that.
No, she broke her pelvis. No, fractured her pelvis.
Fractured her pelvis?
Yes. Oh, she's on crutches, apparently.
Oh, my goodness.
The whole of Europe waits in,
God love her and bless her. Yes, indeed. So you've been, Warren Point Port, Larne, I see it in the Irish News this morning. I know that, you're a good man, you'll not take any pleasure from this, but it's important that I tell you. Concerns have been raised about the future of Larne Port after it was revealed that passenger and vehicle numbers have dropped significantly. The figures which show that passenger numbers fell 30,000 last year. Since 2010, passenger numbers have dropped by more than 220,000. And the number of vehicles, which is your line of territory predominantly, using the port has halved over the same period, down to less than 190,000 last year, vehicles using the port. What do you make of that?
As you say, I don't take any joy out of hearing of that, because obviously Larne are competitors of Warren Point, they play it fair and square. I wouldn't say anything other than that. But geographically, I suppose there is a problem. Larne is very close to Belfast, and Belfast has, a very good hinterland and can attract both passengers and freight for a crossing that's not that terribly different in length from the Larne to Stranraer crossing. And I think that's what's happening. I mean,
Belfast's taking it.
Yes, I suspect that's what's happening. When you look at what we've experienced, actually, it's the converse. We've had an excellent year. In fact, a record-breaking year in Warren Point. But just before I get to that, passengers going by ferry and by sea are a diminishing quantity. And the reason is most people, some people say to me, why isn't there passenger service from Warren Point? And I will say back to them, well, when was the last time you went by boat? Oh, I don't go by boat.
Oh, yeah,
See,
of course.
everyone flies.
They want to get into the cylinder, the silver cylinder, and they want to leave all their baggage behind and fit it all into their attaché case, and off they go do their business and come back again.
Yes.
So the boat
most people fly. It's much cheaper to fly, and fly drive actually is very popular now.
Yeah. So you fly and you pick your car up.
Yes, exactly.
I would have, I love the romance of the boat.
Yes.
I love the thrum of this Martian place where you're cut off from everything else.
Yes.
And you exist within this womb. And you exist because of your own carefulness. You exist because of the company's commitment to safety. You're safe because you're knowledgeable about weather and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And there's something there about being in the middle of... I remember we were sinking 23 miles to the southeast of the Isle of Man. We're in danger of sinking. We were eventually taken in by the lifeboat. But we were in complete darkness. We were without any steerage way at all, in a small yacht. And we were lying a hull. The seas were that bad at that stage, with no steerage. And there's one thing struck me, that when I went out from the warmth of the cabin, where we had light, and looked, first of all, you got all of these images coming to you. Is that a boat I see coming because of the light and all the rest of it? You were outside the womb. You were outside the safety cocoon. And, of course, 23 miles southeast of the Isle of Man, you're in the shipping lane.
Yes.
This is the difficulty.
Yes.
So, but there's something about boats that will always suck me in. And I suspect you're the same because you're a yachting man.
Yes, I do. I'm very fond of the sea. I grew up beside the sea. It's something I would find very difficult to live very far away from the sea. Yeah. I don't know what it is. It is an attraction. And I do like boats. And indeed, I do use the Warren Point service myself quite frequently.
Of course, and it's there for folk.
There.
And people don't easily know that.
Sea Truck have a facility for passengers and cars. Their priority has to be freight because that's the main
spinner
thing. Yeah. But nevertheless, there is room for 12 passengers on each ferry service, and I'll use it myself. And one of the great things, as you say, Rowan, is, well, first of all, you get your own cabin. It is a 7-8 hour crossing, so it's a longer crossing than the Dublin crossings or the Belfast crossings. You get your own cabin, and as soon as you sail outside Carlingford Lough for about 10 miles, you suddenly lose your mobile phone signal. So you can put your feet up, read a book, or do a little bit of work on your computer. But it's a great pleasure
and the food on board that boat. Alistair's a great fellow. Alistair Eagles, the MD of Sea Truck.
Yes.
He made us so welcome. Sarah, my colleague on the program, she's a little boy, and the little boy's fascinated by the sea. He wanted to come down, get on Sea Truck and see it, and the captain made us so very welcome. Yes. Just lovely people.
Yes.
And it's enjoyed.
Those vessels, the Sea Truck vessels, and Sea Truck is our main customer, our biggest customer, and 2 ships a day sailing back and forth to Heysham, which is just north of Liverpool. It's a very busy service, but they're brand new ships. They're like 3 or 4 years old, and they're ships. Incredibly good
Gorgeous
condition.
Ships, yeah.
And did you visit the bridge?
Oh, we did. And the little fellow was able to sit in the captain's chair.
Yes.
And he was able to give one. I shouldn't say this. That was as much as he got.
That's acceptable.
But the wonderment...
That's what they call a testing of the ship's horn.
A testing of the ship's horn. But I see that. I see the Sea Truck turn in the pool outside my window.
That's right.
And I'm looking across in the early morning. Because I'm awake ahead of the first sailing coming in.
Yes.
So I'm there waiting. I'll just see. I always sort of metaphorically salute and welcome my friends of the sea coming in again, you see, which is all good.
It's an incredible, it's 145 meters long, and it's turning in a 165 meter turning circle.
Amazing.
So, there's not a lot of room there, but it's perfectly safe, and it's just great skill. That they can
Absolutely.
do that.
I remember you may well still 20 years ago. Was it 20? Yes, it was 20 years ago. I did a documentary on Warren Point Port. It may be around somewhere.
You did.
And I remember the boat was turning in that pool.
Yeah.
And they were just turning. I think could have been 2 turning at that time. There were smaller boats. There was 2. And I wondered about what music shall I put over this visual imagery. I slow-moed it so that you had the seagulls almost in slow-mo.
Yes.
And what did I put across it? Da 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 dum da ra 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 ra. Chorus of the Hebrew Slaves.
Yes.
I hope that was the chorus of the Hebrew Slaves. That's what I put over it.
That's
and it was the
from
most beautiful.
Yeah.
It was from
Exodus.
Lachme? No, that's the other one. What was it? It's from. Oh gosh, in my mind, I'm 70 now. I can't remember things as easily, you know. But the thing was, most beautiful imagery.
Yes.
And we were down in the port in the early part, just before dawn.
Yeah.
And all of that orange light and the atmosphere.
Yeah, no,
and the boat
it's
coming
special.
in and the warps going out.
I know a lot of people go for early morning walks around Warren Point on the promenade, and people often say to me that they do enjoy that tranquil moment early in the morning around dawn and see the vessels moving in and out.
Absolutely.
And the seagulls that are raised by the movements.
Right.
And it's quite something.
It's special. Now, forget the romance. What did you earn your money on this year?
Well, we've had a great year. 2013 has been a record-breaking year.
Record-breaking year at Warren Point.
Highest volume ever. And, we have suffered in the last few years, like everyone else in the recession, and 2009 was a tough year. But our highest volume prior to this was 2006, and we've just come with our numbers now, and we're 12% up from 2012 on our overall volumes.
Is that in some measure due to the resurgence of the economy in the southeast of England?
Yes.
Because you're sending out a lot of cement, aren't you?
We're sending out a lot of building materials to the south of England. I was just chatting with the finance director, Kieran Grant, yesterday to give me some detail on the balance between export and import. And I mean, it's quite fascinating to think that we've had this change. 45% of our volume is now export.
That's so good.
That is good.
That's what we need.
Yes.
You know.
And part of that is such things as building materials, as you say, to the south of England. So it's cement and, insulation and blocks and bricks. Because there's a building boom down there, and that's good news for us, and it creates employment for us. Other exports include recyclables. There's a lot of recyclable material, both metals and recyclable waste being exported from Northern Ireland. Dairy products. So it's all good news. And even on the one hand, we see steel imports, because we don't have steel here in Ireland, north or south, coming in from South Wales, from Cardiff, twice weekly on a shipment there. And then maybe a few months later, we see the outturn of that steel, because this is steel for manufacturing, Rowan, that goes to Lisburn, is been pressed and plated and sent to manufacturing companies such as Power Screen, JCB, and so on. And we see them going out on the sea truck.
You're bringing the stuff in bits and pieces, in bundles and bales.
Yes, correct.
And you're sending them back out as sheet steel.
Correct. And
that's real magic.
And manufactured products. And recently, we've had some very interesting export as well. The tail fins from the Bombardier jet.
Wow.
And that's going on Alistair Eagles on the sea truck.
Yeah. You also did something. You did something for wind turbines or something. There are modules that are being manufactured and partly exported through Warren Point. And another big export is garden. I see products. This thing. These lovely
blue Westland.
This is great. Yeah. You look after your. What are we exporting by those things?
It's garden products. A lot of it is peat, and it's material that's used for fertilizers, garden sprays, all sorts of seeds. It's a big company in Dungannon, employing hundreds of people, and You can imagine, where do all the gardeners live, Rowan? The south of England. So that's, again, 2 ships a week,
Yeah.
containerized
Yeah.
to Bristol.
Yeah.
So
For goodness
it's busy, busy, busy. And they're working very hard. They've developed a new company called Kronos, who are working very hard to try and backfill those containers with goods coming the other way,
Yeah.
so that you have a trade in both directions, because that's key, and
that's
important.
nirvana.
That's nirvana.
You're in the Elysium fields of
Yes,
trading when you're
yes,
there.
yes, yes.
You love Joni Mitchell. We're going to play you Joni Mitchell because you're going to stay with me to 10:30.
Yeah.
We're with Peter Conway, the Chief Executive of Wallen Point Port. Joni Mitchell.